Good morning, Raptor Freaks. Alexi out here. It's Wednesday morning. We're doing Wow Wednesday, and our Wow Wednesday has to do with a guy I should talk about more on this channel. I've only done a few streams on Ochai since he's been on the team. We did do share the love for him at some point, but Ochai Agbaji, the stat came out. It's been out, but I came to my attention yesterday that Ochai Agbaji last season had the biggest jump in effective field goal percentage out of the whole entire NBA, and that's basically like his percentage, like points. Like he jumped. Like I'll show you. I've got his basketball reference page open right now. Basically, Ochai in the year before on the Raptors, he shot like 39% from the field. Then the year after, last year, he shot 50% basically. So he jumped from 39% field goal percentage to a 50% field goal percentage. And that's like 11-point jump. You know what I'm saying? Not only that, he did increase his three-point shooting from 22% to 40%, which is another huge jump in field goal percentage leap. And then even he increased his free throw percentage. He used to shoot 61% free throws for the Raptors his first year, and he went up to 71%. So he has like 10-point percentage jumps on field goals, free throws, and even three-pointers. So that's fantastic. He really did have a very good improvement last year. It was just, you could tell the first year he came to the Raptors, that half year after getting traded in the trade with Utah, he struggled to figure out his offensive identity in the Raptors system. And there was some stuff that just wasn't going right. It wasn't smooth. He was not finding baskets easy, and he was shooting a lot. And the shooting was kind of like not his best repertoire. Like I feel like one of his best moves is actually to go to the basket and like in transition. Ochai Agbaji is one of the best transition finishers in the NBA on the down low. People don't understand that. And then the other thing is the corner threes. He started concentrating on corner threes way more, and that was a big difference with his three-point percentage. And because a lot of the stuff he did in his first half year on the Raptors was near the top of the key, and it was kind of like not in rhythm, and it looked really awkward. Like it wasn't like he was naturally stepping into his offense correctly the first half season he played for the Raptors. But I guess in the summer last year, he got his head on straight and he came back, and maybe him and Darko elaborated a little bit more on what he was expected of doing. And he stuck to task, and he was extremely successful. Ochai probably should have been a top 5 vote getter for most improved player last year. I mean, if he was on a bigger scale of, who he is as a player in the league, he might have gotten it, seriously. But, we're really proud of him. I'm proud of him for getting this, for being the NBA player that had the biggest leap in shooting last year. That's the stats. That's the stats right there. He was the number 1 player in the NBA last year who made the biggest improvement with his field goal percentage. And that's something to celebrate. That's something to talk about and put out there because, when Raptors lead stuff in the league, that's good. That's a good thing. So congratulations, Ochai. I appreciate you. I know that, this year's going to be a very make or break year for a lot of different Raptors and the team in different ways. And I wish you the best of luck, and we'll just see how it all goes down. Whether you got a spot in the rotation and you're going to be a Raptor long term, we'll have to see. I'm not against it. I think that Ochai Agbaji is a very useful player for the Toronto Raptors. But I also think that's gotten to be a really crowded part of the rotation, the 2-3 position, the shooting guard, small forward, with people like Grady Dick, Jacoby Walter, and other great young stars at that position. It may be crowded for Ochai to try and find minutes on the Raptors this season. So we're just going to have to see. So, yeah, let's get into the chat. We got all the regular features of the show. the Instagram stories, the ref report for the WNBA playoff games, and the straight goods on Canadian goods, all the stuff you guys enjoy on the channel. We're coming up right now. That's right. So let's wow this Wednesday with a wow, Ochai. What a big leap in your field goal percentages. It's fantastic stuff. Trevor J is in first, of course. Commissioner Fun, Trevor J, holding it down for us in the state of Florida. Sadly, we're living in a day where people are proud of what they should be ashamed of. Yeah, the reality of the world is perverted right now because there's people that want to change perception in the way that we look at the world. They want us to be a little bit more cynical. They want us to be a little more mean. They want us to be a little more mean, and they don't want us to be empathetic or reaching out or connected and stuff like that. It's very disgusting. You know, there's criminals in the White House, and well, there's criminals in the street. There's criminals all over the place, and well, in some ways, this is just a really dark time. Hopefully, good will prevail. That's what we have to do. We have to do the right things, be the right way, be more in the way of Christ, because that is the thing that's important here. And once again, the people that are shouting, we are Christ, the most, and not acting Christ-like, well, in some ways, don't be like them. And don't let them railroad us to think that their way of Christ is the right way, because it's not. If it's rooted in hate and, separating mothers from children and ugliness towards Hispanic people, immigrants, trans people, that is not Christ-like. Christ loves all people on this earth. And he would look out for the people that are trans, the people that are immigrants, the people that are getting maligned and subjugated by the MAGA presidency right now. So that's really what the teachings of Jesus Christ would say is, these people are not with Jesus at all. What's going on right now? Yeah, it sucks, Trevor. It's really annoying. Let's see. Trevor's saying, when I saw the stats on Ochai, I said, wow, no one is talking about this. So I posted it. Yeah, as soon as I saw it, I said, wow, too. And guess what? It was Wednesday the next day. So I said, wow, this must be the Wow Wednesday then. Sometimes that's how I figure out what the subject should be for Wednesday is I literally have an audible wow where I go, wow, this is amazing. This is interesting. And I'm going to go ahead and put this on blast. Because it's like I said, I want to give shine to Ochai. I've given shine to a lot of different people. There's the clip that came out recently of Grady Dick and all of his three-point shots from the season. That's fantastic. We've got Jacoby Walter clips. We've got Jamal Shed clips. We've got Jamison Battle clips. You know, I like this, Raptors admin. You're putting out clips to hype up the fans for the season by showing a lot of highlights from last year. And that's fantastic stuff. And, of course, putting the old classic games up like Morris Peterson's buzzer beater recently, that's fantastic stuff, too. We like all that. That's right. Trevor J saying the WNBA game between the Vegas Aces and Seattle Storm. The Storm went back in the fourth quarter and beat the Aces. What a game. And Indiana did beat Atlanta. Yeah, they evened up the series in both the first-round matchups in the WNBA playoffs last night. The team that won the first game lost the second game. So the series are even. Nobody got eliminated last night. And, well, there'll be a game 3 back in Las Vegas, back in Atlanta for these series. So, yeah, good job by the Storm, evening things up with the Aces. And good job by the Indiana Fever for holding off the Atlanta Dream at home also without Caitlin Clark still. So, yeah, there are a couple more WNBA playoff games tonight, guys. We got the other 2 matchups. Minnesota at Golden State. It'll be Roy Gillian as the crew chief, number 42. The referee will be Tim Green, number 9, and the umpire will be Gina Cross, 38. There is an alternate, Claire Simmons, number 28. And then Phoenix Mercury at New York Liberty. Madge Forsberg is the crew chief, number 34. Fatu Sissoko Stevens, number 15, is the referee. Jenna Renault is the umpire, number 77. And the alternate is Agana Bazi, number 32. It came out today that the Valkyries player that criticized the referees after game 1 of their playoff series has been fined by the WNBA. So, yeah, this matchup will be very important. I'm expecting the Valkyries to get eliminated tonight by the Lynx. And the other matchup, well, we'll just have to see how Phoenix does things. Breanna Stewart is a game-time decision tonight due to her injury from game 1. So we'll have to see if Stewie is available for the Liberty. So, yeah, that's what's going on in the WNBA check with the referee report. Let's go, ladies, and let's kick some ass and get to that championship WNBA teams. That's right. Tempo next year, baby. And we'll be in the the ring and to try and get for a ring. That's what we're doing next year. That's right. Toronto Tempo's coming in. That's right. That's right. Trevor J's also bringing up some more news of the day here. NBC Sports will place NBA analysts courtside next to the team's benches to listen this season. This is something that I saw at FIBA competition this summer. It was very interesting. Them holding a boom mic over the timeouts. Listening to the coaches tell their team what they're going to do is very open. And sometimes I don't like this. I mean, there should be access to things. Yeah. But at a certain point, could this be screwing up people with, because listen, teams are crazy. They'll cheat and they'll try and get any kind of advantage they can. I think that the huddle is just like the locker room. It's a private place for teams. And that, microphones shouldn't be involved in this. There shouldn't be analysts listening in on the huddles. I don't believe this is a good thing. I think that this could be used in folly as there could be some associate of a team that's watching the broadcast and finding information from the broadcast and telling the team on the bench in real time what they're saying over on the other side. I think this is a horrible idea. I think that in some ways it's like, yeah, you want to give more access to the fans, but I think this is a breach of security and sanctuary for teams and their private space. The locker room is somewhere, open gyms in there, filming stuff. Okay. But usually people want to have privacy and let teams have their private affairs be there. In some ways, the private place on the court is the huddle for the coaches. So don't necessarily agree with this decision. I think it's kind of messed up, and there may be some problems from it that I just described. Now, the one thing I could say is this is NBC doing this. NBC. So this is not going to be every game that these analysts are going to be provided and put near the benches and listening and putting mics on the coach while they're talking to the players. This will be only the NBC games. And fortunately, the Toronto Raptors only have one game involved with NBC this year. So if this is going to happen during the Raptors game, it's only going to be happening once. And I believe it's the Chicago game in the second half of the season that it'll be on Peacock. So either way, some people say this sounds like a great idea. I don't think it is. You might as well mic the players and let us listen to them during the game instead. I think that when you start miking the coach, and you start hearing his plans on the other side, there could be problems there. They could be problems. That's why maybe you can't show it live. Maybe you could have the coach, you can film the coaches and get the insight, but show it a little bit later in the game so nobody's picking up signals like they do in baseball or catching signs in football or something like that about what the play is going to be and stuff like that. That's where the problem is right there. That's where the problem is. Let's see. Trevor's saying ESPN, they're so full of shit. You get it done, man, just for that. I love that. I just read that. That made me laugh. Trevor J's right. ESPN is full of shit. He's exactly right. It is very much full of shit. 138, Trevor, for that. Just reading that. That's not even the full statement. ESPN, they're so full of shit. They had the top 10 players that will make a big impact on their new team they're on, and they didn't include Brandon Ingram for the Raptors. Yeah, I mean, but they had a list earlier this summer already of the best acquisitions or new faces on new teams. They don't consider Brandon a new addition to our team because he was on our team for half season last year, even though he didn't play. And I think that's the reasoning. I think that you're right. I think that he's going to have a top 3 impact on this on our team out of all the people who have changed. I think Kevin Durant will have a nice impact. There's a couple players that could have big impacts. I think Brandon Ingram is one of the top 3 players that will have an impact on his new team. Seriously. And the NBA can ignore this. The truth will come out when the game happens. And that's the thing, man. I'm really hoping in this world today that the honest truth will still win out in the end, and that everybody will understand what the truth is. Because the truth is something like, somebody going out on the court and putting up 50 and you can't do anything about it. That's the truth. Well, Brandon Ingram's going to have a huge impact for the Raptors this year, God willing that he's healthy. And I want them to recognize at some point that they were wrong about this, Trevor, because he will have a huge impact as that kind of player added to this team. And they'll have to circle back and be like, oh, but that's the thing. They can predict all they want. In some ways, all this stuff is bullshit and it sets up perception. But then when we do have success and we win stuff, and we are actually good, they don't come back and retract messages or change or correct things. They just go forward, and quite often they dismiss the accomplishment anyway. So it's like we just got to get used to this. ESPN's for knuckleheads and idiots, and in some ways, it's not for us. It's not for us. It's not for Raptors Nation. It's not for Raptors fans. In some ways, we cannot get information from ESPN at this point. It's totally compromised. Totally compromised. That's right. All right, Raptor Freak James is in the house, guys. Good morning to you, Raptor Freak James. Lex, do you think the Raptors re-sign him? Aren't we over the cap? The situation with Ochai is, it's an interesting one because he's an option. He's an option. Now, this season, in some ways, like Mike, logical Raptors fanatic, has pointed out, the salary cap is not a problem for the Raptors. There's a lot of whining and crying and chicken littling by certain people in the press, the ESPN, saying, oh, the Raptors are screwed up their cap and stuff like that. No, they had not. Because they did not realize that the little bit of money that we're over the cap, which is 1.6 million, is going to be cleared up by contingency bonuses. And that money is in the cap. There's a contingency bonus, particularly for RJ Barrett, that he will get paid an extra something million if he makes the All-Star team. He also has another contingency one if he makes, I think, All NBA or something like that. Now, those monies are put on the salary cap against us, but if they don't come through, they get taken off. So we're going to get under the salary cap without having to move anybody because there's a lot of incentive-laden contract stuff in our salary cap right now that's not going to happen. And we'll end up ducking underneath the cap by the end of the year. Watch. Some of this stuff could happen. And if there is a really amazing season where RJ Barrett starts collecting these incentives, well, maybe we will go into the cap, but it'll be worth it because that means we're kicking so much ass. Does that understand? Does that make sense? So yeah, Ochai is an interesting piece because in some ways I've speculated this summer he could be the one that's easy to move to help us get on the cap midway through the season at the trade deadline. So we'll just have to see how Bobby wants to manage this. And thank God we have a capologist expert at his field, GMing, in Bobby Webster. And in whatever he's going to decide, he'll figure it out. He has probably a few different plans, different plan A, plan B, plan C. And according to how the Raptors perform this year, how their record is, maybe different things that have to do with different individuals on the team, different growth, maybe with Jacoby or Grady or Ochai, will determine what the direction is and who he's going to invest in. But it's true. I mean, Walter, Dick, and Agbaji, in some ways, they're three guys in two spots. And in some ways, something's going to change in the next couple of years. And our two first-round draft picks have a real foot in the door more than, in some ways, Agbaji. But we'll just have to see. We'll just have to see how it goes, man. I think that we can, whatever we're going to do, I trust Bobby. Just like I used to say, trust in Masai. I have to trust in Bobby because he's an expert and he's got our best interests at heart. And he's going to figure out the best roster decisions for the Raptors as we go. If Agbaji is a Raptor going forward for years to come, I will be overjoyed because I think he's a very, very good player. But if he isn't, I understand why. It's because we're going more direction of Jacoby or Grady. That's probably why right there. That's right. James is saying Ochai is 3-and-D. He can start on half the teams in the league. Yeah. And he started for us a lot of games last year. And when I did my star report, he was one of the most important players for the Raptors last year. He really consistently showed up health-wise a lot of games when a lot of other guys were hurt. And he started quite a bit. And he was very, very steady for the most part all season long last year. Really, really, really good. Yeah. I would try to re-sign him back for $8 million per year for 3 years. Well, Bobby will know the numbers and how it fits with the whole bigger scheme and what's realistic. And once again, I'm going to trust him on those kind of things and that decision. James said it's hard to find decent 3-and-D players, so I would keep him. Yeah, that may be very well true, and that may be what he decides. That may be very well what he decides. You know, the strength and the quickness combination of Agbaji is very, very good. He's an extremely good athlete. And, he does have the aspects on both ends of the court, which is fantastic. His offense really made a jump last year in my eyes. His defense was already solid. Yeah. James saying, do you think our best shooter gets any playing time this season? Jamison Battle. I don't think he's our best shooter, especially after watching Grady's highlight this week. There's a lot of shots that Grady took last year that were like Kawhi shots. Like he gets shooters rolls. Like it's weird. Like it hit the weird part of the rim and then it flies up in the air, hits the top of the backboard, comes back, hits the rim, bounces over here, and then falls into the hoop. And, Grady also watching that highlight reel of Grady's, all of his 3-point shots from last year, you see just how quick his release is, just how quick he doesn't have to be on. He doesn't have to be balanced. He can be off balance and falling and stuff. And he just lofts it and it swish right through. That's why I would say Grady is the best shooter on this team. Jamison Battle is very good, and he is probably right after him. But I'm going to disagree with you, and I'm going to say Grady Dick is the best shooter on the Raptors. And it's partly because, man, go watch that highlight reel and see just some of the threes he made were very much with people right in his face. And he would have to do these little dribble step to the side. Now, Jamison, he got better with his 3-point shooting as the season gone on because Darko worked with him on the dribble step to the side because Jamison was really just kind of a catch and shoot set shooter when we got him last year. He wasn't totally able to make his own shot. And Grady's way better at that. Grady's way better at making room and getting away from the defender to make a shot, like jump, step to the side, shoot. And Jamison's more a work in progress on some of that stuff. And he's getting better, though. He's really made some good leaps, though. I'll say that. Cool Cat's here. Good morning, Raptor Freak Cool Crew. Countdown is on upcoming season. That's right. And she's watching Siakam's team's preseason workouts. His B-ball course is state of the art. His personal basketball court, I'm guessing what she said, is state of the art. Impressive. Well, it's definitely PS with the PS logo all over it. Speaking of Cool Cat, you played in our NBA fantasy league last year. Well, I renewed the league this morning. And if you got an email saying that you got your team renewed, well, it's back. It's on Yahoo. Remember, guys. And I've renewed not all the teams. If you are wanting to come back and play and I did not renew you for the league, you need to tell me because I'm going to try and get people that are going to be active this season and coming in and playing. So guys, if you are not gotten a renewal, Cool Cat's gotten one. I sent it to her. I sent it to Kaz. I sent it to Kareem. I sent it to Amari. I sent it to a lot of the people already. But the league has been renewed. So the NBA fantasy is starting to get ready. So go and check that out. It's on Yahoo. And you should be, if you were in the league last year and you're a current member of the Raptor Freak channel who's here all the time, you should be on there already. So there you go. All right, let's see. Criscom saying, good morning. What's good, Lex? Good to see Criscom. The great Criscom. Making predictions all the time. We appreciate you, sir. How you been, man? Long time. I love RJ. If he improves his defense and maintains or gets better numbers-wise, I'm good with him starting. But Ochai looks like he fits the bill as a starter at the 2. It's interesting. Now, I'm not going to diss RJ Barrett and say Ochai should start over him. I think that ideally we have our starting 5 healthy. That is who it's supposed to be, which is Barbecue, Brandon, and Yak. And then we just have very talented players coming off the bench. Like Ochai and Grady are probably the next 2 guys who would start for the Raptors. If guys are out for some reason, for whatever reason, I'm sure Grady Dick gets the call to the starting lineup next, or Ochai Agbaji, depending on whether they want more defense or offense in the starting lineup. More shooting, great. They want a little bit more of a defensive edge, Ochai. Now, some people want Ochai to start, like you're kind of intimating here, over RJ because they think that Ochai is a much better defender than him. In some ways, you're right. Ochai is a better defender than RJ. But I would say RJ brings so much other stuff other than Ochai does in other departments that he is still a way better player and much more useful out there. Now, I would say this. If the Raptors start a game and they start their regular lineup of Barbecue with Brandon and Jakob, and the defense is not doing so well, and we're not stopping the other team. And there's some easy baskets and stuff like that. Darko can make a quick substitution and throw Agbaji in to try and slow things down. Maybe throw Shed in too. It could be, because some people are speculating the defensive weak links on the Raptors starting lineup are going to be RJ and IQ. So if there are really bad starts where we're not getting any defensive pressure on the other team and they're just doing whatever the hell they want, well, that's when you bring in defensive substitutions to try and slow the other team down. And you bring in Agbaji, you bring in Shed, maybe you bring in Mobo, or maybe even Shamshay at some point. Because Shamshay has a very good defensive impact when he's in the game, when he's a little bit more trained as how to play in the NBA. So that's what I'd say to this, Criscom. I think you still start RJ, but you give him the quick hook if things are going really poorly, like in the first 6 minutes of the game. You give him the quick hook, and maybe you give Agbaji a bigger stint for the rest of the game. We'll have to see. Cool Cat saying, Ochai's achievement is impressive. I hope he can carve out a successful career. I watched him in college and was impressed. His height for 3-and-D is the challenge. His college career was extremely successful. Playing for the Jayhawks and getting that championship. In Kansas, he's a legend forever. They love him so much. He's one of the most loved Kansas Jayhawks ever because he led directly to a national championship for that university. So, yeah, he's a very successful college player. Very, very, very successful college player. Cool Cat saying WNBA Aces versus Storms was an excellent game last night. I stayed up until midnight. 19-year-old Malonga was very impactful. Proud of her. Doing good stuff for Seattle against Aja Wilson and the Las Vegas Aces. Well, it was do or die time. They lose that game, they're out. So she had to step up. But it's very interesting to see such a young player showing that kind of moxie and grit to hold it off and get the win for her team, Seattle. That is very, very good sign for a youngster like that they're playing with that kind of astute kind of level already. Gerald's here. Good morning to Naco the Nacho. All right. Ochai's good enough to be a starter. Yeah, he proved that last year. I really do believe that. He proved that last year. But on the same token, if he's a role player off your bench, that's even better. That means your team is stacked. And this is what I'm talking about with that barbecue, Brandon, and Yak starting lineup, is that any of those 5 guys can be all-star worthy. Seriously. Some people will laugh at me saying that, nope, Scotty Barnes is already all-star. Brandon Ingram was an all-star at one point, I think. Yeah. Jakob Poeltl is seriously underrated. And we know Jakob in some ways is very important. Now, RJ and Emmanuel are young, and they both can step up their games and get more into the level of all-stars very soon. Tyrese Maxey made the all-star team, right? Well, Emmanuel quickly can make the all-star team at some point, too. And I think RJ has a good chance to make the all-star team in some ways better because of the format with world players versus the U.S. In some ways, it may be tough for him to get on that one team, and they may be limiting to one team between the 3 teams as international because they're worried about too many Canadians becoming all-stars. So we'll just have to see how it all gets handled. But RJ Barrett could be on that world all-star team. I mean, in some ways, I would argue that he is one of the top 12 international players in the NBA. Seriously, I could maybe make a list and say RJ is in the top 12. He is one of the top 12 international players. That's right. That's right. Let's see. All right. Let me see where I lost my place for a second. Let me see where I'm at. That was Criscom or Gerald I was just talking about. Oh, wait. Wow. It jumped all the way ahead. No wonder I lost my place. All right. Here we go. We are on Randolph. Randolph saying, beloved Raptor Freaks family. Blessings. Have faith and believe the truth that good will always overcome evil. Keep doing good. There you go. I need that. Those kind of words of wisdom. I need those, man. Come in here and tell me that every single day, Randolph. Please, please. I will have faith in the Lord above and Jesus Christ and just the way of the world that we will work this all out and fix this problem that's right now with fascism on North America. That this Nazi party called MAGA is fucking running the United States into the ground right in front of everybody. And we need to stand and resist. We really, really do. We need to. And yeah, good will always overcome evil. Please, let's make this happen. And blessings to the Phillips family and all the Raptor Freak families. Blessings and safety and good futures and a sustainable future for all and equality. That's what I want. That's right. Cool Cat's saying all these attempts for social media attention is not good. There's emotion, language, player dynamics that should be private. Yeah. Yeah, I think that it's a little bit overreaching. I mean, the open gym's been fantastic. I've loved the inside look at things, and right from the start, it showed us stuff that we'd never seen, like Aaron Gray and Quincy Acey getting traded to the Sacramento Kings. You know, it's a very nice thing to see intimacy and privacy with in a team that you don't normally get to see all that kind of stuff. But there should be limits to this. There should be limits to this. And I think that if there's some sort of controversy at some point because a broadcast is showing a huddle and another team is using it to kind of like, for their benefit as far as like knowing what's going on, that's not good. That's not good. It's just like in baseball, stealing signs, stealing signs from the pitcher and the catcher and relaying them and giving the information to tell like what's going on and stuff like that. We don't want that kind of stuff. The inside stuff in the bench has been fine when you guys mic up players and coaches and you play it later and we don't see it in real time. But if you guys are going to do this in real time, I could see some real problems. Once again, these are things that people want to do that I don't think are totally thought through. There's a lot of things like that. Like Adam Silver's Europe NBA is not really thinking this through right now. He's pushing forward with it. He said he wants this league to start in 2027 or 2028. You're crazy. You are crazy. Now I did learn a little bit more. He does want to incorporate the FIBA teams that are doing really well to be in the NBA Europe, and that he is working in cooperation with FIBA to design an NBA Europe model. That may work if you can do this, but in some ways, but that means you're bringing in established clubs that already have their established stuff. And I don't know. I mean, that's the only way it will work. If they get like teams like Real Madrid and Barcelona and some of the really big, huge clubs that are really established, that's the only way this will work. But I think for the most part, once again, American arrogance is not getting that you guys are not popular around the world right now, and any kind of foreign investments and trying to do stuff, it's not going to go over well economically right now. People are going to reject this. And it's really just capitalists thinking that they can just expand and do whatever the hell they want, no matter what, without real world conditions being taken into account. And this is the difference between being a successful business and being a failure. And in some ways, Adam Silver is going to fail on NBA Europe because he's not reading the room about just how displeased the whole entire world is with the United States right now. And I think he's an idiot for thinking that this is the time to jump on this and go in this direction. I think he's an absolute idiot for this. Really, really stupid. James is saying this. Lex, who's the better player right now, Ochai or Jacoby? I mean, in some ways, they're different types of players. I think that the potential for Jacoby is bigger than Ochai. But currently, right now, maybe Agbaji is a little bit more dependable and a little bit more useful in some ways. But Jacoby's showing the signs with a game winner. And, a lot of the different things he's doing so fundamentally well that, he just had his first year last year. And, well, I expect some interesting things from him in his second year this year with his short hair. And, it's not fair to compare them because they're not on the same timeline of where they are in their NBA career. And Jacoby Walter, I don't know where he's going to be in his fourth or fifth year in the NBA and how he'll look against Agbaji at that point. But right now, Agbaji is the more complete, polished player, but Jacoby has the potential to way surpass who Ochai Agbaji is right now. So that's what I'll say about that. Nako's saying all BI's got to do is be as good or better scorer than Siakam. I mean, you could say that, but that's weird. I mean, we don't really need to compare him to Siakam. We need to compare him to who he was before. They're different players in some ways. There are similarities between Siakam and Brandon Ingram, but really what we want is Brandon at his best from the Pelicans, if not more controlled and quality-wise within that, like more efficient. Because in some ways the ball's got to be shared with Scotty and the other guys. And Brandon's got to take his opportunities and really utilize them. It can't be a situation where Brandon Ingram's going to come in and get 35 shots and make like 12 of them. No. It's more likely Brandon's going to get about 20 shots or maybe 15, and he's got to make more than half of them. And then he can get to 25, 30 points that way. It's like if he's taking like 30 shots a game, that's not going to be good. That's not going to be good. So I don't want him to be high usage. I want him to be very efficient. And in some ways, the things that I want Brandon to do this year as a player is expand his game in the other areas, like play really good defense, like put an emphasis on playing defense in certain ways and play good team defense, and really get good at passing and finding your teammates. And if you start rebounding a bit more and getting good rebound numbers too, that's all great. So I want an all-around game from Brandon. I don't necessarily want him to just be a scorer prototype. He needs to play in all facets of the game on our team and try his best on all of them. If he's coming in to just shoot the shot, no, we don't want that. He needs to play defense. He needs to find his teammates with assists also. So yeah, there's a lot more to this Nako, and comparing Ingram to Siakam in some ways it's useless. It's useless to do. Roger Raymond is here. Thank you, Roger, for your support of this YouTube channel. I really appreciate you as a member. Good day, Lex, and the Raptor Freak family. Good morning to you, sir. Good morning to you, sir. Nako's saying Ochai is a better, Jacoby's more valuable. I think that's about right. I think Gerald's about right on that one. Let's see. Seymour saying, long live YTN Paco. Senseless gun violence plaguing our streets. This one hurts. So somebody was shot in the streets, and is it a hip hop guy? Yeah, I don't know the name, man. That sucks, man. That sucks. I mean, gun violence has always been tragic and awful. And, gun violence decreases with sensible gun laws. It has been proven all around the world in many nations, but the United States is stubborn and stupid and will shoot itself in the foot literally over and over again with school shootings and this kind of stuff happening. I don't know. Maybe this happened here in Canada. I don't know. I don't know the full story. Trevor's saying Bobby knows better than all the fools who are trying to fool the foolish ones. Bobby really is an expert, and he knows exactly what he's doing. He's not half-assing anything, guys. This guy has a plan and a contingency, and you could throw all kinds of curveballs at him. And the other thing that I love about Bobby and Masai with him from before, we love you, Masai, always Masai forever. Fuck you, Ed Rogers III. Is that Bobby and Masai always had flexibility. They always like to incorporate flexibility in their standing with what they're doing in the front office, so that if an opportunity like the Kawhi Leonard trade comes up, they can jump on it. So there's still quite a lot of flexibility with the Raptors roster, their salary cap, and the players they have. That, some of them are attractive, and if different things become open opportunities all of a sudden, they can try and jump in there and utilize those opportunities as they come, because they're flexible and they're open and fluid in some ways to make moves, to do stuff. That's one of the things that Bobby Webster values. Him and Masai very much made it a part of the Raptors GMing, is we need to be quick to move just in case something like Antetokounmpo is freed up, all of a sudden we can go get him. Stuff like that. So, yeah, that's it right there. Kaz is here. Good morning, Lex and Raptor Free Crew. I did send a renewal for you for the Yahoo Fantasy League. Cool Cat saying, I think Grady is our professional shooter. Lots of variety. Is a movement shooter. Yeah, I mean, he's the if we're gonna have a guy on our team that's the most like 3-point designated, it's Grady. I mean, Jameson's too, but Jameson's undrafted. Jameson is making his way into the NBA. Grady's a lottery pick. And Grady is deeper than just the 3-point shooting. He can score in other ways too, and he's scrappy, and his defense is getting better. And that's the thing. Grady gets after it. It was crazy watching that Grady highlight reel, and you hear Masai on it talking. And it made me kind of sad to hear Masai and how he was beaming and talking about Grady Dick in that highlight reel of all of Grady's 3-point shots. It sucks, man. The thing with Masai is going to be hard for me to get over for a long, long time. I may never get over it for the rest of my life, honestly, because I really do feel like the new owner of the Raptors is not a good businessman. And he's really stupid to let go of one of the most talented executives in the history of the NBA like the way he did. It was just dumb. He didn't need to do it, and it's just a waste. It's a waste. He shouldn't have done it. Let's see. Medved's here. Good morning, Medved. Can't wait for our first preseason game against the Nuggets just to see how we look against a really good team before the season starts. Yeah, I mean, the Nuggets, Jokic is a solid player. The Nuggets are, I feel like they did good this summer. Reacquiring Bruce Brown is a great move. I think that's good for camaraderie. Cameron Johnson will be an interesting player for them. I think they're a better team than they were last year, the Nuggets. So we'll have to see how they are. And this is true. This is a good test right away for the Raptors. But this is the thing. Raptors win Canada Series games. Their record in the Canada Series is very, very good. In some ways, that's smart because it's like, look, if Canadians are coming out to see a Raptors game in another city than Toronto, they want to be entertained, and they do kind of want to see the Raptors win, right? So, I'm expecting the Raptors to beat the Nuggets in Vancouver because that's the trend of the Canada Series. And, in some ways, it's in the NBA's best interest that the Raptors win in other markets across the country, but we'll see. Nuggets could win it too. But the Raptors have been very successful in their Canada Series games. And plus, also, it's the first game where they're all going to be together and getting out there. And they may be really anxious to get out there and kick some ass, especially Brandon Ingram's making his Raptors debut. So we'll have to see Medved. But it's right. It's right. It's a good team, and it'll be a good test. It's a good team, and it'll be a good test. Trevor J saying this season, Raptors team is going to be very dangerous, and there's nothing no one can do about it if we have go get a bucket of players. You mean like Brandon being a clutch player, and Brandon being able to do stuff late in the game will very much help the Raptors this year. And hopefully he'll be healthy and he'll do exactly what I just said. He'll hit big shots and carry the team in close games where it's very on the line. And Brandon is the factor that decides it for Toronto winning. That's what we want to see right there. That's right. I think they're dangerous too. I think on the down low, people are not respecting the team that we have assembled here and just how much they work hard on defense. They get after it. They're disruptors. And then we've got very athletic, talented players. This is really interesting time in Raptors history because this is, I think, one of the few times in our whole entire franchise history where we have so many high draft picks on our roster. In our championship year, we didn't have any high draft picks when we won the championship. Well, right now we've got a number 2, a number 3, and a number 4 pick on our team. We have a lot of lottery picks on our team right now. You can go over the list. Colin Murray Boyles, Grady Dick, RJ Barrett, Scotty Barnes, Brandon Ingram. That's 5 lottery picks right there on a roster. And in the past, we'd be lucky if we had 2 or 3 lottery picks on a roster at different times, like Vince Carter and Tracy McGrady, but otherwise, that's what I'm saying. So people got to realize we're dangerous because we have way more talent than everybody's actually giving us credit for. We have way more talent than they're giving us credit for. That's right. Cool Cat saying, Lex, my ESPN issue got cleaned up. I didn't realize I have a Disney account and an ESPN account, which is now Disney too. I can't keep up with the corporate mergers, monopoly at its finest. Yeah, it's bullshit. It's bullshit. And this is on Yahoo. So yeah, Disney and ESPN are the same company. So you log in to ESPN through Disney. Yeah, that's what's up with that. Also, Cool Cat is saying this. Hang on. A lot of young players are joining the WNBA. Wealthy, more popular, hungry to continue winning. Is the WNBA and the commissioner ready for the different perspectives of these younger athletes? I have no idea. In some ways, I'm not knowledgeable enough to talk about this. I still don't know how much the money the WNBA is making. In some ways, I would just say people need to be humble and do things the right way. I don't totally agree with Amy Reese and what she did, but in some ways, if she was misconstrued and the reporters made this problem for her, I get that too. But I mean, I don't understand what you're saying. A lot of young players join the WNBA wealthy, more popular, hungry to continue winning. Wealthy? I mean, I don't know how much they're making right now. I mean, I'm sure it's a good piece of money, but it's like, are we talking about NBA money and stuff like that? I don't know. In some ways, it's like, we'll see how things evolve. And the more I get into the Toronto Tempo, the more I'll understand this. But once again, I have a learning curve with the WNBA. I'm not as familiar with it as the NBA for sure. And, I don't know what you mean by this. Are you talking about that? Is the WNBA ready for brashness or egos? I mean, I would say there's a lot of young women that want to come in the WNBA. They're humble and they want to play and do things right. But if there's a lot of cocky ones that are coming up, I mean, I don't know how that is all going to work out. Some of them may make it just on coasting on their talent. If there's going to be similar problems as they have in the NBA with young players being knuckleheads like Ben Simmons and John Morant, is this what we're talking about? I mean, I would take it on a case-by-case basis. Each individual young lady that comes into the WNBA, well, let's see if they're a knucklehead or not. Because there'll be female knuckleheads in the WNBA, just like there's knuckleheads in the NBA. So I don't know. I don't know what your statement is supposed to say here. I don't understand what you're supposed to be saying here. Kaz saying, Lex, I got the email about the renewal. Awesome. All right, cool. Yeah, so you guys can start getting ready for the draft. I'll figure out like the other teams they're going to add in, because we do have some open spots for other teams to join, and we'll see how many teams will get in this year and make it competitive. That's right. Seymour saying Grady and IQ are the best shooters we have. Battle is an honorable mention. I like that he included Emmanuel quickly in this, because Emmanuel is one of our better shooters. And it's true. In some ways, it's partly because Emmanuel is dangerous to shoot at any time from anywhere. Because in some ways, I'll give him the green light to do that. He has Steph Curry privilege, is what I'm saying. If Emmanuel quickly wants to throw the ball right within the half-court line and shoot it, I have no problem with it. If he wants to dribble at full speed up the court, and he wants to stop on a dime right at the three-point line and shoot a three, just barely stopping, I have no problem with it. Because he has a green light from me to shoot any which way he wants to. He's one of the rarest players ever in the history of the NBA that I'll be like, I don't care what Emmanuel's doing offensively to try and shoot something, just let him do it. Because that man is a scorer. That man is a good shooter. And I've never really felt this way about anybody. I wouldn't have said this about Vince. I wouldn't have said this about even Freddie. You know, I say this about Emmanuel because I trust him like that. Because even when he goes into the lane and he's got a lot of guys around him, he has weird trick shots and flip shots that somehow, some way go into. So, yeah, I'm glad you included IQ in that one, Seymour. Yeah. James is saying Ingram is a more natural scorer than Siakam, in my opinion. They're just very different. They're very different. I think that Siakam is such a singularly unique player in the history of the NBA. I think that in some ways, Siakam is a throwback to 80s players. A lot of the way he plays and a lot of the way he plays isolation and his moves is very, very much more like an Alex English or a George Gervin or a Rolando Blackman from the 80s than most of his peers in his current time right now. There's a real throwback to Pascal's game. But I think that there's not many guys in this league that play like him with the spinning and the stuff that he's doing. And once again, I put a Siakam as one of the most unstoppable players in this league. In some ways, he makes people just feel defeated, just like Michael Jordan used to, because they're like, I'm going to tie him up this time. I'm going to do it. He's not going to get his this time. And then he beats them anyway. You know, it's that kind of like stuff when you're so overpoweringly good at scoring. It's really hard for the other team to feel good about what's happening with you. And Siakam's like that. And that's why I tell people, I feel like he's like Jordan sometimes, because he makes shots that people aren't supposed to make, like flipping and falling. And then also he's very much like unstoppable to a degree. And that was very much like thing. Now, Brandon, in some ways, I really compare him to Durant. In some ways, a lot of the stuff with Durant is a lot of the stuff with Ingram. But I think Ingram is going to try harder than Durant at this point. He better. That's for damn sure. That's right. Cool Cat saying Ingram and Siakam are two different types of players. Yes. Siakam is a two-way complete player. Ingram is an offensive specialty player. I don't think this is exactly true. I think that you calling Ingram just an offensive specialty player, you're going to be shocked at how much Ingram plays defense this year, because he's got long arms. And once again, he said when he came in, he said, I've seen how the Raptors are playing hard on defense. I'm going to have to do my part and put the effort in the defense. The thing is, Ingram's a very smart basketball player. He understands basketball. He has a high IQ. And maybe we've seen more offensive highlights from him during his career. But I'll tell you right now, he can block shots and he can rebound, and he will play a certain amount of effort on defense this year that he may not have done most of his years in the NBA so far. So, and it's just part of like, you know what? These guys are serious. Darko's a good coach. I respect him. I want to play the right way for the Raptors right now, because this is an opportunity that I've been dying for. And the Lakers was weird. Pelicans were not serious. And this team is serious about what they're trying to do. And I have to do my part. So he's going to feel the call for this. So I agree with you saying they're two different types of player, but you're distinguishing that Ingram is an offensive specialty player. I'm going to disagree with that, because you're going to see this year that Brandon is actually an underrated defensive player. You're going to see that. Randolph saying, Lex, I'm questioning the NBA Europe idea. This can hurt the North American teams. The top players, MVPs, are international players. Will players come to North America when this happens? That's kind of what struck me too, Randolph, is this a weird way of Adam Silver trying to dilute the European presence in the NBA? Like maybe he's hoping, well, maybe Luka will just stay over in Europe, or somebody will stay in Europe and it won't be as prominent over here. Is this some sort of weird xenophobic way of saying, you know what, you should be playing in NBA Europe, not in NBA. You're a European. I don't know. I don't totally trust this concept and this idea. I feel like there's a lot of weird corporate powers out there that are trying to go in different ways to really establish monopolies in more ways. And the NBA is trying to get a monopoly on global basketball, is what this feels like, is they're trying to come in and do this. And there's all kinds of weird shit going on. Once again, I'll say this, and I'm predicting this, and I know it's probably going to be true. The NBA Europe idea that he has right now is going to fall flat on its face, and it's going to be an utter disaster and economic failure. And Adam Silver is an idiot for even trying to do this right now. Read the room, Adam Silver. MAGA and Trump has pissed off the whole entire world. Everything American is being rejected overseas and up here in Canada too. So it's like, you got to read the room, bro. Are you this dense and stupid and arrogant that you think that this is this? Or is there just a new world order coming through and you guys are going to try and establish it, force it on people? Because that's part of what it seems like too in some ways. Let's see. James is saying, I'm down for NBA Europe League if they start the season after the finals. That way we get basketball all year round. We're going to get basketball all year round anyway. And that's because I'm switching WNBA watching in summer because of Toronto tempo. So I don't care about this. We'll get a year-round basketball. I'm going to be busy anyway. In fact, I won't pay attention to the NBA Europe. I won't be a fan of it. I won't put any attention to it. Adam Silver, you better hope Europeans will. They may just cast it aside and say, I'm not watching this. This is U.S. Fuck that. We had leagues already. They were fine. They didn't need to come here. That's going to be the mentality. Seriously. It's going to be similar to this Bills thing with the Argos right now. Is people in Canada rejecting the Bills because they believe in the CFL, they want the CFL, and they love their Toronto Argonauts. So it's like, Adam Silver, you're an idiot. What are you trying to do? You're going to establish new teams over there, or you just take teams that are already established and turn that into the label, put the NBA on there with a FIBA sticker already? And in some ways, don't change it too much. Just you can put your labeling, your branding on teams over there. If you're going to try and start totally new franchises, they're going to fail like the Vancouver Grizzlies. I know they will. I know they will. They will fail if you try to start a new branded team in Europe as part of the NBA Europe. It's going to fail, bro, because there's going to be a competing market team that's already established from FIBA stuff, and they're not going to switch from that old team to your new team. I'm telling you right now. Kareem saying, if you look up 3&D, you will see a picture of Ochai. Kareem Thomas, good morning to you, sir. Let's not forget, he's a fast break demon. He knows how to space the floor on a fast break. Is effortless and natural for him. He is one of the best finishers in transition in the league. It's because he's very quick and athletic and strong. If he gets in the air and somebody's trying to stop him in the air, he usually has the ability to finish around them and get to the rim still. So that's fantastic. Him and RJ are similar in this. Him and RJ are two of the best finishers in traffic with people around them and defensive players. They're strong and they're quick. And that's what it is right there. Cool Cat saying, Lex, MLSE is a corporation, so Raptors is just one of their investments in their entire portfolio. Nothing special in their mindset. Unfortunately, Raptors personnel has branding approach will be gone. We don't know yet. I'm not saying anything is for sure yet. We just have to go step forward. The cross promotion with the Bills is disappointing. It is what it is. They're going to try and use the Raptors platform to prop up the NFL and the Buffalo Bills because they need it. Well, that's in some ways a compliment to how powerful the Raptors brand is and just how much we are, something that people covet our audience. Even though nobody respects the Raptors in certain ways in different places, whether it's Canadian media, hockey media, whether it's the U.S. media and their bullshit. The Raptors fan nation is strong and powerful and an economic entity, and they recognize that. So they're going to try and direct and utilize it by exposing us to – they probably promised the Bills. Bills, pay us this amount of money to Ed Rogers III, and we'll promote you all year, and we're going to try and entice the Raptors fans to be more Bill fans this year. That's what this thing is. In some ways, it's like whatever. You can make corporate mergers and agreements and shit like that. Still doesn't mean they're going to be successful business wise because they're not popular. Some fans that are already Bills fans maybe enjoy it, but a lot of us are not Bills fans. We're not going to care, and we're not going to switch over and start watching Bills games or jump on the board and go see Bills games in person just because Ed Rogers and Keith Pelly decided they want to put the Bills involved with us. Once again, people can think that they have these business ideas and they want them to go through in fruition. But you know what? A lot of times they don't think about these correctly and they don't understand what they're doing is not going to work. And in some ways, I could see this with both these endeavors, whether it's the Bills with the MLSE or the NBA in Europe. It's just like that. It's just like that. I mean, you can go look at the Bills press conferences that they had. There's like hundreds of views, and then all the Raptors videos that get posted get thousands of views. So the people are telling them, we're not interested in this. We're not interested in NFL on our Raptors social media. We're not interested. There's something there. All right, let's keep going. Wayne's saying, morning, Raptor freaks. Expansion into other basketball markets is good. The winner could be rightly called world champions. Yeah, I have no problem with that. And I like that idea. Mark Cuban's idea, or what he had brought up and said, I like that idea, but I feel like it should be authentically those leagues. And if the NBA is trying to make those leagues a part of the NBA, that doesn't make any sense. Bring the European champions from different countries and let's have a tournament with the NBA champion. And we can really decide who's the world champions. I agree with this, Wayne. I'm with you on this. Nago saying IQ is our best shooter because he knows defense is better than Grady. Yeah, I mean, it depends on what you want to say. Like, all right, technical shooter. Grady's the best shooter. Technical wise, technique wise. Carmen Dick traded this young man so well, and he has really good, flawless technique. His shot and his way he shoots it is very, very set and that's part of the reason why he can shoot off balance. He can do different things because he's put in the work. He's put up so many shots. He's really worked on his form. He thinks about it constantly. He's probably changing his form and tweaking it slightly here and there and stuff like that. He's a technician with his shooting mechanics. Emmanuel's not necessarily. Emmanuel's more of a creative guy, and he's going to do flip shots and he kind of goes with feel. He kind of goes with feel and kind of the vibe and the flow, where Grady is a very disciplined shot taker. And that's the difference right there. It's like you can't really say that IQ's the best shooter. He has the best feel for shooting maybe in some ways, but IQ is not a better technical shooter than Grady Dick. And some of it is because of the way Emmanuel puts his feet when he sets them on jump shots. Sometimes he puts 1 foot forward and he shoots like his form is really weird sometimes. It's not exactly fundamental. Let's just put it that way. But it works. That's why I'm not going to criticize him. But Grady's the more of a sure shot. And he's the one you can depend on a little bit more to get the higher percentage. A little bit more. James is saying Siakam kind of reminds me of Sean Marion. Yeah, he's a better player than Sean Marion ever was. I'll say that. Sean Marion is a better all-around player than Siakam, but Sean Marion didn't work as hard as Siakam has in his career. And those are the big distinguishes. Sean Marion may have been even better if he had worked as hard as Siakam, but nobody works as hard as Siakam, according to Rico Hines. That's for sure. Yeah, Sean Marion's a great player. He's a great all-around player. He's a very interesting player. He did play for the Raptors for a little while, but Siakam's a better player. He worked harder, and that's why. And in some ways, Sean Marion's a better all-around player than Siakam. But I would still say Siakam's the better overall player in the history of the NBA. And that in some ways, if somebody's going to the Hall of Fame, I want Siakam in the Hall of Fame over Marion. He deserves it more. Let's see. Kareem saying this. To play on this version, the Darko-led Raptors, you need to play defense. That's the system. So forget players past. This is a new regime with a different philosophy. Yeah, there's two things you got to do. You got to play all-out defense. If you're not working hard on defense, Darko will bench you. And the other thing is you have to be unselfish and you have to be a passing teammate. You have to be able to understand when to take the shot and when to move it along to the next guy. And if you're one of these black holes that'll just shoot it every time you get your hands on the ball, well, they've been finding their ways out of the team in the last couple of years. And that's just how it is. It's like, not necessarily a bad thing to be a black hole if you're a very good scorer like Siakam. But in some ways in the ecosystem that Darko was trying to create, Siakam's brand of play was not going to fit with the kind of style of European passing that he wants to do. And that's part of it right there. That's part of it right there. Cool Cat saying FIBA is a unique brand of ball. NBA is another unique brand of ball. Culture and style. That will be interesting to see. Will it be an American type brand or a European branding? Well, that's maybe part of the fight. You know, the NBA is the only league in the whole entire world that doesn't use FIBA, really. Almost every other league in the whole entire world plays by FIBA rules. In some ways, it's arrogant. If there's some sort of power struggle for which type of rules are going to win the world over, if Adam Silver has some sort of designs to make the NBA 12-minute quarters and all their rules become the global standard, he's crazy. He shouldn't try and do this. It's more likely that he should conform to FIBA, because it'll be a lot easier for the NBA to just switch to FIBA than the whole entire rest of the world to switch the NBA's rules. You got to understand, America is so centric to itself and egocentric that they don't understand just how many leagues and how much the rest of the world plays FIBA rules, and they don't, and nobody else plays NBA. Nobody else plays NBA. Now, if this Europe NBA is to try and change the world to NBA rules, he's going to fail once again. He's going to fail so miserably. It's not like the Olympics. It's not like Eurobasket and World Cup and Afrobasket are all going to go and change the rules just for Adam Silver in the NBA. So I don't get it. I mean, if the NBA wants to be more international, maybe they should start shortening their games to 40 minutes and 10-minute quarters. And then that might actually help with injury problems. That's what Darko thinks. He said that in publicly in interviews, said it was like, look, I think the biggest difference between the FIBA game and the NBA game is that they're 10-minute quarters and we get less time on the court. And that's actually good, because you cut off those 8 minutes from each game for the whole entire season. Think about how much time is not actually getting played on the court. Some people say, well, that's less time on the court. That's less minutes for players. That's less minute times for us to accumulate stats and look good. You know, there's all kinds of different, things to figure it out. But the FIBA game works. And we do see FIBA games that are reasonably scored that get up to around 100 points. And some of these NBA games start getting to 140, 130 point games. Well, just shave 2 minutes off each quarter and make it a 40-minute game. And, there's other rules they could change, the goaltending rules and different things like that. And then it'd be more like FIBA. And, there's actually easier defensive stuff in FIBA also. You can play defense better in FIBA rules than the NBA. The NBA is getting a little bit better in the last year or two, but you can play more real physical defense in FIBA rules. And that's good. I think that's good. I think that's good. Not everybody will agree with me on that. Yeah, Nako's saying technique-wise, Grady 100%. Yeah. And that's what I say. If you're going to say who's the best shooter, you got to go by who is the best technique and is the best highest percentage shooter. That's what you got to go by. And in that case, Jameson would be second. Let's see. Kareem saying, I just seen Paige Booker's spirit line leading up to the Rookie of the Year trophy. Such a wholesome moment. To me, she's better than Caitlin Clark. What's your opinion? I don't really have an opinion on this. I mean, I guess both of them are Rookies of the Year now, 2 years in a row. And, Caitlin's been hurt a bit this year. And Paige has been a phenom. Of course, Paige was hurt a little bit too for a little while this year, I think, for a second. But either way, I mean, I have very shallow experience with the WNBA at this point. When we see them in person, when I watch the tempo games more, I will get more opinions on this kind of stuff. I think that the hype is obviously around Clark more, but I think there's room for everybody. And in some ways, once again, you guys want to compare everybody. I say this is not worth it to do. These are just individuals. And they do what they do on the court, whether it's Brandon or Pascal, whether it's Paige or Caitlin. It's just, they're just players. They're on the court. Wayne's saying, I think Rico Hines tarnished his rep with his association with Nick Nurse. That's an interesting viewpoint. I don't know if he's tarnished his rep. I mean, he tarnished his rep with us. I mean, in some ways, because he went off with him when Nick turncoated. And that was fine. I think Rico, I still respect him to a degree. I do respect him to a degree. I think that he's very important. I've watched some of the Rico runs this summer, actually in the last week. And, there's good stuff happening there still. And there's important stuff there. I think Rico Hines is an interesting person. He's a part of the Raptors history. But in some ways, it's like, he just does what he does. But I can see where maybe you think that. I can see where you maybe think that. There's a lot more talk around different people saying, is Nick Nurse actually a good coach? Seriously. Some people are starting to realize this. We are a little ahead of things on this channel. We always have been, a couple of years ahead. And now they're starting to realize that, like, other than the championship year with the Raptors in 2019, a lot of what Nick Nurse has done in his coaching year has been failure. Seriously. Now I get it. Pandemic, Tampa. I mean, really, but like the stuff that's going on in Philly is not helping his case. Ever since he's been in Philly, it's been a disaster and a failure. So, we'll have to see how this year goes. And Philadelphia fans may get sick of him and be like, "Yeah, he's not doing a good job," and he gets fired. So I don't know. We'll just have to see what happens with Nick. But in some ways, Raptors fans are starting to question on Reddit and different places: is Nick Nurse actually a good coach or not? Like, in some ways, he jumped in and took Casey's spot right at the end of the project where Casey had built it all the way up, and he got the shine right at the end. So let's see. Kareem saying, bring back hand checking in the NBA. Let's separate the real ballers from the frauds. I hate touch fouls. Yeah, that's one thing that's Nick Nurse actually was for. Nick Nurse says that would be a good way to improve the NBA is to bring back hand checking. He's been on the record for saying that. In some ways, hand checking is allowed in FIBA to a degree. So that would be part of it right there. If you can switch a little bit more to FIBA rules, there'd be a little bit more of that kind of stuff going. Cool Cat saying Paige Bookers and Caitlin Clark are two different types of point guard players. Yeah. Once again, I say apples to oranges. You guys got to stop wanting to compare everybody. In some ways, we could say maybe instead of comparing them, let's say who's better? Who's better? I mean, I think Caitlin in some ways is more of a phenomena, and she's kind of the golden girl of the whole entire league, like a big, huge draw. In some ways, she's like the Hulk Hogan of the league right now. That's really opening the door for popularity and more eyes on the WNBA. Now, Paige could be like the Macho Man Randy Savage. I don't know. Is that what it is? Caitlin Clark is Hulk Hogan, and Paige Bookers is Macho Man Randy Savage. Could it be like that? Cream Thomas is saying, honest question, why do NBA players play so hard in random open gyms in the summer, but give no effort in the All-Star game with millions watching? That's a fantastic question, Kareem. And this is not normally how you get dunk. So I'm going to give you a dunk right now. That's a fantastic question. And what I would say to this is, I think that part of it is that in some ways the players may have agreed a bit already on the download without even saying it, that they're not going to try in the All-Star game. But when they go to one of these games like you're talking about in the offseason where they're playing open gym, and they may be playing against players that are not in the NBA. They could be college players. They could be just Joe Schmo off the – they don't want to get embarrassed. I think that's what it is. I think that they're playing against lesser talent. They're playing against some college guys like UCLA guys that Rico Hines runs, or, some guys that are just barely in the league. They don't want to get embarrassed. In some ways, playing on the biggest stage with the All-Star game is you're more likely to get embarrassed if you try too hard and do something stupid. But the other guys on the team are really good. And if something happens out there, well, you won't look as bad because, it is LeBron James. But if you're at a summer run, and you're playing Joe Schmo from 34th Street on Staten Island or some shit like that, yeah, you're going to want to make sure they don't beat you. I think that's why. I think that's why right there, Kareem Thomas. That's the reasoning right there. All right, let me see. I'm at the end of the chat for right now. Let me go and check on my tabs. Today, we're talking about salad dressing on the straight goods with the Canadian goods. And guys, I've been having a hard time finding a good Canadian salad dressing because it seems like there's a lot of just big American corporate salad dressings out there. Newman's Own's great. And rest in peace, Robert Redford. It's sad. But, Newman's Own is great. And it's a very philanthropic brand, but it is an American brand. And, Kraft is horrible. They're a big corporation conglomerate. Kraft is a really, really bad food company. So you don't want to buy Kraft in any kind of way, honestly. So what can we do for salad dressing in Canada? Well, there's a group called Giraffe Foods. Giraffe Foods is in Mississauga, and they're Canadian owned and operated. They specialize in custom or private label sauces for the North American food industry. Giraffe salad dressings, there's all varieties. You can find them. If you see a Giraffe salad dressing, that is Canadian made for Canadians. So buy it and support your country, support your economy. And, seriously, There's a lot of good things happening economically here. Once again, I'm going to remind people that the mass media in Canada is somewhat controlled by America. And a lot of the stuff that you see and news is not coming from people that are good sources. They may be trying to use propaganda techniques, much like Putin uses on his own people in Russia to keep them in line and falling for his bullshit. And well, we have to realize that Yahoo, CNN, all kinds of different sites that are American are going to gaslight us. And there may even be on your Yahoo page articles about how much Canada's economy is failing. Realize this is like propaganda that may be pushed on us to make us feel like we're not doing as well. I feel like Canada is doing very well right now. Maybe there is hard job market right now, but there is a lot of good stuff happening with people making choices like what we're talking about, picking Canada products over American products and keeping the money in our businesses here. So the more we have this mindset, you hear the ads on the radio from Colin Mockery and other great Canadians talking about please buy Canadian right now. Well, listen to them and do it and really take it to heart. And don't follow your brand identity loyalty to things like Coca-Cola and Starbucks just because you always have. You can make this change. And these changes do matter, and they really do change things. Other people may say it doesn't matter if you boycott US stuff. It doesn't matter. There's too much. It doesn't matter. No bullshit. They're just trying to jade you and make you feel like nothing will work. And they're pessimistic and they're wrong because it all adds up. Every drop in the ocean adds up to the ocean. And you guys got to realize your part is in this. And you can do so good if you really do cut out as much as possible spending on American companies, because there's a lot of bullshit and they're scared and they're trying to tell people, no, don't stop going to McDonald's. Please continue to come to McDonald's. In some ways, they're begging us on the down low. The Americans are like worried because we're not coming there for tourism anymore. There's all kinds of weird stuff happening right now. Well, Canadians, we have economic power and we know how to direct it. And we're not the only country that's doing this. Most of Europe is boycotting American products too. So why wouldn't the American economy and the American media sources tell us our economy is doing bad in certain ways? Because they want us to think that we're buying more Canadian than ever. And there's more economic opportunities for Canadian companies than ever because we're actually spending our money on our own companies instead of just blindly spending it on American companies that have been honestly just totally concentrating on making money from us up here and instead of us making money for ourselves with our own companies. And we can change this, y'all. Giraffe salad dressing. That's what I have to say to that. Giraffe salad dressing. That's right. That's right. Let's see. Kareem saying, also, Nick Nurse can't coach when Malachi Jeffrey Jordan is barely in the league anymore. 72 points pro-am. That's funny. And none of this is actual factual truth. Cool Cat saying, I'm excited to see all the college players joining the WNBA. Clark got her popularity break when Paige was out due to the injury. Paige was touted as the next phenom. WNBA fans just learning. All right. Well, like I said, this summer I didn't watch a lot of WNBA, even though I kept tabs on it and played fantasy. But I'm going to actually watch the games for the tempo next year. And this is going to be Lex learning the insights and stuff. And it could be very interesting to hear me do reactions to tempo games next year, taking my insight and knowledge of the sport of basketball and the fundamentals and my years of watching the NBA. And, there are years where I've watched the WNBA at times. I watched it very early on in the first few seasons. I was very much into the WNBA. Rebecca Lobo and Cynthia Cooper and all the original WNBA stars. I was familiar then. So I'm getting to get reacquainted with it, with the tempo coming in. And yeah, in some ways, as we play Dallas or Indiana, I'll have better critiques on what I see from these women in the WNBA and what I think. So I want to make sure that I'm knowledgeable here on this, and I'm not ready yet. Next year I will be, though. Kaloy's here. Good morning, Lex, fellow freaks. Good morning to you, Carlo JS. Good to see you. Cool Cat saying corporate media is downplaying Canada's strategies because it will anger the king of the U.S. Yeah. And they also want to break us in some ways. We got to understand that there's a propaganda war that Russia's been doing on everybody for a long time, on its own citizens to still follow Putin blindly when he's like running their country in the ground, just like Trump is. And then even a propaganda war towards the Ukrainians sending a lot of misinformation there. They send a lot of misinformation to the US and very successfully interfere with their elections so that a fuckface like Trump ends up being in the White House. And they are sending misinformation to us here too, the Russians and the Americans, as far as trying to shape our minds and our perceptions of what's going on in the world. So be very aware of this. Seriously, guys. There's a lot of perception shaping by evil out there that does not want good things for us. So when you read stuff online, kind of critically think, where's the source from this? What would be their motives for wanting to tell me this? And why do I even need to know this at all in the first place? You got to have questions about everything you see now. AI and everything is so manufactured and fabricated and false. And they are literally putting out false stories to see if people will believe them and see how much they can get away with. So yeah, it's a crazy time right now. And critical thinking is absolutely mandatory skill for everybody to have. Unfortunately, some people are not smart enough to have critical thinking, and they are duped and they are sheep, and they're in big trouble because this world could shape them into really bad ways, is what I'm saying. Yeah. Yeah. Kareem's saying, you're right, Cool Cat. Caitlyn gained popularity when Buckets got injured. I think Caitlyn was popular a couple years ago, coming out of university, way before I even heard of Paige. So I don't know what you guys are saying that there. Cool Cat saying, Lex, get a pulse of the WNBA while watching college ball. That will help you understand what's coming to the WNBA and the changes the W will be forced to make for all these rich young stars. Well, either way, I'm going to find it out as I do over time, but I'm not going to watch any college ball. There's just too much. I don't watch men's college ball. I'm not going to watch women's college ball either. And well, I'm just going to learn it on my own pace over time, and we'll learn it together. You guys may be a little ahead of me, some of you guys, and you'll be able to help me, but that'll be good, because then in some ways, if there's something I say and you're like, wait, Lex, no, that's not right. I want to tell you this is why it's this way. And if you give me a good argument, I'll be swayed. I'll be swayed. So yeah, once again, it's like I'm going to cover the WNBA next summer, just like I cover the Raptors in the NBA, and it's going to be very in depth, and we're going to be on top of it. But I'm not ready yet. Where the WNBA playoffs are going on right now, maybe I should watch those games more closely. I'm checking them out. I'm watching the box scores. I'm watching the highlights, but I'm not watching the whole entire game. So let's see. Cool Cat saying, I watch both college and WNBA, so I'm excited that WNBA will be forced to change their business mindset if they want to keep the fans of these rich young stars. I don't even understand what you keep saying that about, like rich young stars. Are you talking about NIL stuff and the fact that some of these young players are coming in already wealthy? Is that what you were trying to say earlier in the message? I mean, in some ways, the NIL stuff is so new. The waves and the implications of NIL for both the NBA and the WNBA are not totally figured out. So we'll just have to see. I mean, listen, if young women are going to stay in college longer to make money on the NIL level, good for them. They should. They should. There's going to be all kinds of different ramifications and reverberations from, NIL and being able to make money in college. A lot of players will stay and they'll make the money. Some players will never make good money in the NBA, and they'll make the most money in their life in college. And then that'll be it. And they won't make any money in the NBA at all. So it'd be smart to stay all 4 years and get as much in the NIL, because they're not good enough to play in the NBA. It'll be a lot of guys that are, G League, okay, but they're not going to get the big NBA contract. But if they're a popular college star and their name and likeness has some value to it, they're going to hang around on that level down there. I think this is going to be good in the long run. It's going to be good because, young people should have been financially compensated for universities utilizing them to profit off of all along. And then also, maybe kids will stay in school longer and they'll actually be trained better before they actually get to the professional league, because that's been a big issue with college, is one and done players coming in and they are absolutely not prepared to play in the big league NBA. And they flame out and they go away because they went too soon, and they should have stayed in school and they should have been there longer. Well, NIL will make them stay around. That's right. Kareem saying Las Vegas lost almost 40% in revenue from Canadians. God knows what Buffalo is going through. Yeah. The whole country, they're not going to put this out there because they don't want to give us power. They don't want to advertise just how much we hurt them. You can talk to individuals on the individual level, people that live in border towns, people that run businesses that depended on tourists, and they will tell you straight up the truth. But the overall mainstream media or the reporting on it is not going to tell you the truth. You could call your friend Larry, who lives in Windsor, or no, lives in Detroit on the other side of Windsor. And say, yeah, they just didn't come this year, and my business is failing because of it. You know, it's been awful. It's been so awful. I hate Trump because he's totally screwed up this world for me, because I was depending on Canadians to come over here and spend money with me, but now they're not here and they're not spending money. You know, you can hear it from individuals and and certain companies. You go talk to those Kentucky bourbon companies that shuttered up because of the ban on American bourbon here in Canada, not going on the LCBO shelves anymore. You know, this stuff is happening. They're getting hurt. And part of it is the hurt of them economically that is coming from Trump and his tariffs. They need to realize where the source is, and they need to get mad, and they need to continue to get in the streets and fight the power and overthrow Donald Trump and the MAGA, because that's the only thing they can do at this point. They got to do this. You know, he's running their country into the ground. He really is. Let's see. Fiercely saying, good morning, fam, and happy Wednesday. Good morning to you, MJ. You know, that's the thing with the immigrants. They're not realizing just how much of an economic failure this is going to be, getting all these immigrant workers out of the United States. Nobody's going to do this job that they used to do, and this economy is going to suffer for this. And also, they don't realize, you know, immigration lawyer. I just watched this thing on Wired yesterday, and he's saying that, you know, immigrants are a boon to the economy. They help, they pay taxes, and they don't take any services from taxes. Like, it's so stupid. It's like one of the dumbest things in the world to get rid of all the immigrants in the United States, because in some ways the growth of the United States comes from immigration. You bring in more people, they need to have work, and they need to have services, and they spend money, and all of a sudden the economy of the United States grows. If you're denying people at the border and you're making it so less people want to come here, that's entropy. That means your economy atrophies and loses money because you're not getting as many people involved. In fact, you're taking people out of the economy that would do some of the crucial cog jobs that nobody wants to do. And that messes things up with supply lines, and costs go up. And yeah, this is just really bad economics. This one thing we can say is Donald Trump has never been a good businessman. He's always run things into debt and out of business. That's his pattern of his whole entire fucking life. Seriously, man. Seriously, his whole entire life has been like that. Yeah, let's see. Trevor's saying, I drove around to so many construction sites and just standing still, there is nobody to work because they deported all the people who are doing those work. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. There's probably all kinds of jobs that they're starved to get people in there. But you know what? They're having a hard time filling them because, you know, with an undocumented worker or an immigrant that was legal to work there, you know, you could pay them less than you would pay, you know, an American worker. But the American worker wants to get paid more, and they want this and this and this. And now these employers are finding, wow, this is not as good economically now, because we could subjugate these illegals or these immigrants and pay them dirt cheap. And they were fine with it. The arrangement was fine, but Trump messed it all up. And it was under the guise that, you know, illegal immigrants are causing crime and they're causing all these problems. This is actually not true. The crime stats show that Americans cause 2 or 3 times more crime than immigrants. Because think about it this way. These immigrants want to be low profile. They don't want to be fucked with. Why would they go out and cause crimes, get detention on them? Sure, there's some criminals that come across and do some heinous things, but they are not the rule. They're the exception. And, you know, most immigrants that come are very good people. They're hardworking and they don't want any trouble. Why would the hell would they want to get more attention on them by causing crime? Let's critically think this through. Brian Winders. They spent so much time and energy, could have died on their journey to get to the country. And they got here finally, and they're set up. Why are they going to go out and commit crimes to get some trouble on them, to get them in trouble? No, they are mostly law-abiding citizens that do not cause any problems. And actually, they're the kind of citizens you want more of in your community. So it's like, it's crazy. It's so dumb. You're going to shoot yourself in the foot just because you want to use a group as an other to rile up things and be fascist. That's what this is right here. It's crazy, man. It is crazy. And I'm not surprised. I've heard that all construction jobs are halted across the United States because of this phenomenon. All the crops in the fields are not getting picked and sitting out there rotting in the sun because the people that would have picked those crops are gone. Shit like that's going on right now. That's right. Fiercely saying, sorry, But I have to say it. I watched the Aces versus the Storm game, and both had Mark Jones announcing, Paul Jones's brother, and has more intelligent takes. Paul Jones is more intelligent takes. Mark Jones were so bland. Mark Jones is interesting. He's the secretly Canadian guy. He was Canadian, and I watched him as a kid, and I didn't even realize he was Canadian until years later when I made the connection that he was Paul Jones's brother. Yeah, Mark Jones. Well, he's a Sacramento announcer. He is what he is, man. I don't mind Mark Jones. He's a good guy from Toronto in some ways. He's a Canadian guy, and he's done very well for himself in the NBA. But in some ways, he has not been respectful to the Raptors at times. But either way, Mark Jones, you're cool with me. It's fine. He's done good. There's quite a history of Canadians that have done really well in broadcasting in the United States. John Saunders is another great example. The great John Saunders. That's right. That's right. Cool Cat saying Florida is in economic woe due to loss of Canadians sell off and left. Yeah, a lot. Some of them are sold their snowbird retreat in the winter, and they're diverting themselves to Mexico. A lot more Canadians that would go this winter to Florida are going to Mexico. They're going to the islands. They're going to other places. Some of them may even be going to Europe. Your loss, America, because of Trump. And in some ways, blame Trump for all of this shit. Seriously. None of this would have happened if Kamala had won. None of this would have happened. There wouldn't be this bad of a relationship between the United States and Canada at this point. If Kamala Harris had, been allowed to rightfully win, because she did win, but Elon rigged the election with some sort of bullshit with the machines, and they railroaded Trump into the White House. And that's basically what happened here. That's right. Let's see. Florida used to offer services just to Canadians. That's all gone. Even simply shut down everything it had in Florida. Yeah, seriously, I'm not interested in going to the United States while this people are in power. I have no interest in going down there. And on this side of the border, I'm going to continue to support every other country's products except for the United States. I'll buy Mexican products. I'll buy all kinds of products from Italy, Australia, Ukraine. I buy food from products from a Ukrainian company. I'm supporting all kinds of other places, but I'm not supporting the United States and what I'm doing right now in any kind of way, as much as possible. Some stuff, in some ways, is not totally choice, but most of the time, I am picking the right choice away from the American product. That's it. That's right. Trevor's saying there's so many Walmarts are closed right now, out of business. There are a lot of strip malls just empty, all closed. Yeah, in some ways, get used to this shit. Seriously. We'll have to see how it all goes down. Anyway, I don't want to. I know we're doing politics, and in some ways, I've told you guys I don't want to do politics for the most part. But in some ways, this is important stuff to talk about. All right, let's keep going in the chat, and let's see. We'll do the Instagram stories right now. Elijah Martin is celebrating his Florida teammates, Walter Clayton Jr. and other guys from the Gators. He's saying, proud career moment to have been a part of this. Elijah Martin reliving his Gator days. You're a Raptor now, my guy. But you know what? You know what is a lot of promise for you and what we're going to do here in Toronto. That's right. Slim Duck has a really funny clip on the beginning of his Instagram stories here where he's got like this little kid and he's saying, his friends say, you give the best relationship advice, but you're single. How is that possible? And Chris says, coaches don't play. Chris Boucher is so funny, man. Coaches don't play. He's putting on blast the Lynx for their big win, their big time play so far. Look at that nice little move there against the Valkyries. So he's putting on blast. Oh no, he's putting on blast Seattle Storm. Sorry, I thought that was the Lynx, but that's actually Seattle. So Chris is rooting on for Seattle Storm against the Aces. It looks like DeMar DeRozan has got Steve Harvey on his Instagram talking about when your dad dies. It's sad because the dad is the one man in the world that wanted you to be better than him, is what Steve Harvey's saying that. So DeMar's going through his feelings about, his father, Frank, in different ways right there. Pascal's got cool footage and a mashup by his production team from the practice sessions at his Orlando home in the last couple of days. They're in training camp at Pascal's house in Orlando. The Pacers are. And, well, they're putting in work. Bruno Fernando is at a soccer game somewhere. Where is that? Let me see if I can read it. He's at Real Madrid. He's at the Real Madrid soccer game yesterday. And, yeah, he's getting people to sign a jersey for him, one of the players there. Norman Powell getting a massage, Miami Heat. And he went to a football game yesterday, American rugby game. And it was an Oakland game against, who is that? Is that the Patriots? Is that Patriots or I can't tell. Whoever was playing the Raiders this weekend, he's at the Raiders game. And yeah, Tony Jefferson. I don't know. I don't know football. I don't give a shit who it is. It looks like the Oilers or the Patriots or maybe even the Bills, the team they're playing. There's Norman draining threes like it's nothing. And it says just the grind. In the corner, it says just the grind. It's just the grind. He's just draining threes like it's nothing. And there he is working out. I swear, Norman's wearing Raptors shorts, even though it's the same colors as like Miami shorts, so he can get away with it. I'm pretty sure he's wearing his own Raptors black and red shorts. Maybe they're Miami shorts, but for some reason they feel like they're Raptors shorts. I don't know why. I kept thinking that. I'm like, he's wearing Raptors shorts still, even though he's in Miami. He's just got the black and red shorts. I guess he can wear them if there's no Raptors logo on it. It still looks like the right clothes. Serge Ibaka. Where in the world is Serge Ibaka? Serge Ibaka is with Manny UK. It's a selfie in the mirror with Serge. It's not about the way you look. It's about the way you feel. Is that Kevin Ollie? That guy looks like Kevin Ollie. That's not Kevin Ollie. It's Manny UK. And then, okay, there's Serge's commercial that he filmed in Roncesvalles. We finally see the finished product of him in the red car, waving to people, come on in. And it's all about that Spanish beer that he's promoting now. And he's in the restaurant. He's eating some of the ham. And he's riding around in the convertible, enjoying himself. Eric Smith is giving his respects to Robert Redford, who passed away yesterday. Yeah, and this is a quote by Robert Redford from Eric Smith. I believe in risk. I believe not taking a risk is a risk. It's the only way to move forward. If you don't take a risk, you will get stagnant and get stuck, is what Robert Redford's quote is there. Let's see. Savannah Hamilton's celebrating Paige Bueckers as the Rookie of the Year. No surprise. He's a big fan. That was the only page one, is what they're saying. That's only page one. That's right, her first year. So, yeah, Savannah's a big fan of Paige. She's putting her on major blast right now in different ways right there. Let's see what else we got on the Instagram stories. The afterglow from the Eurobasket win for Germany is still going on with celebrations with Isaac Bonga and Dennis Schroeder and the rest of them. Jonas has a new commercial. Jonas Valanciunas is putting on blast some sort of like a thing that helps you. It's Pulsetto. It's like something, it's like it's a pillow and it gives like pulses that helps your neck or something. But yeah, he uses Pulsetto 10 minutes a day. His sleep improves and his recovery speeds up. So check out Pulsetto. This isn't Tiny Ballers, but Jonas Valanciunas has a new product he's putting out there. Pulsetto is the product. Grady Dick is in Tim Hortons commercial right now. I love the Grady Dick, Tim Hortons stuff yesterday. Grady is so funny. He's really smart, man. Really, really smart. Grady asked questions about Tim Hortons, and he got them all, man. He was just killing it. What sport did Tim Horton play? Hockey. This and this and this, this and this. Grady's so smart, man. And he really got all the questions right. And then he had to try some drinks they were hidden, Tim Hortons drinks, and he's drinking it, and he's like, it was a milk in the bag. And he said, this is just milk. Right? And he's like, but what if it's Canadian? What is it? Oh, milk in a bag. Milk in a bag. And man, Grady, I'm so proud of you, man. This is a really good clip you did with Tim Hortons. I know it's a shameless advertising thing, just like you do all the time with all kinds of things like car washes and banks and all that kind of stuff, Gillette. It's just another ad campaign. But listen, this was a multi-purpose ad campaign because you show that you're a great spokesperson. You did a great job highlighting Tim Hortons. And you tried the Timbits too. He was trying the Timbits and different ones. But also, you showed your knowledge of Canadian culture. And in some ways, that gives me some points on, you know what, Grady may really like playing for the Raptors. That's what I'm saying. Because in some ways, I'm feeling it out. How much do you want to be involved in Canadian culture? Well, Grady's all about it. So this is a good sign, guys. This is a really good sign. So the Tim Hortons, Grady Dick footage from yesterday was fantastic. I really, really enjoyed that, man. Really, really enjoyed that. There's your Instagram stories right there. Instagram stories right there. That's right. That's right. Let's see what's going on here. In the chat, what did you guys say since? Let's see. Neil saying this. Politicians' greed on both sides of the aisles is why American politics is in such a terrible place. Donald Dump is a reaction to corruption that started long before him. Let's not play two sides. Black Hawk. No. We're not doing the two sides things. There's only two sides here: are fascism and democracy. And one of them's fascism and one of them's democracy. And you cannot stand up for the fascist side. And you cannot two-side this. If Kamala Harris had won, we wouldn't be having half the shit that's going on right now. And things would be fine. You know that the world would be normal and we wouldn't be so agitated. And you know that we wouldn't have the conflict that we're having with the United States right now if Kamala Harris had rightfully just been put in this place. I'm denying this. I'm going to give you a strike, actually. In the face of fascism and just how bad this fucking is, you cannot come in here with this equalization bullshit, Neil. Seriously, the Democrats and the Liberal Party may be compromised by corporations, but let's not get it twisted. There's a difference between love everybody, equality for gay people and everybody else, and a difference between subjugating people and coming after people and terrorizing people. So don't give me the shit, Black Hawk. And some ways you piss me off by equalizing this. You can say, oh, it's because of this and this. No, bullshit. This whole thing that's happening right now is a plan by the corporations to install fascism and install a surveillance society that's absolutely fucked up and dystopian and nobody should want. If you want freedom, you want democracy, you want what's right, you have to fight against the right wing right now. And if you're equalizing the right and the left wing, you are a fucking enemy to me because you're part of the problem. So understand, Neil, seriously, you can't equalize this shit. One side wants to subjugate and torture people. The other side wanted freedom and love for everybody. So don't give me this crap. Sure, a lot of people are corrupted at a certain level of politics, but there's differences in what their motives are. And yeah, don't give me this crap. Come on now. You can't say this. Donald Dump, yeah, it's his problem. It's his fault. He's a piece of shit. And if we had President Harris right now, all of our problems, a lot of them would be out the window and they would not be here with what we're having right now. Isaac's saying, W your Wednesday. There you go. Touch grass. That's the way to do it. That's right. That's right. Trevor's saying, I have food coming in from different Caribbean countries so I can distribute it to my family all over the U.S. and give to some of my neighbors in my neighborhood. There you go. The food truck is in full effect still. And Trevor is showing that good food on the Discord all the time. If you want to become a member of this channel, you can get access to our Discord channel. You can actually see all the food Trevor's putting out. It's good. It looks really good. W to Grady. That's right. Blackhawk saying, if Harris wins, it doesn't change the corruption. You're basically saying the lesser evil instead of what will get the system working for the people. No, Neil, fuck that. Once again, seriously, bro. Seriously, you cannot equate this shit. If you're buying the line, hook and sinker on this, you're a sucker. You're a sucker. And you gotta get your head out of your ass on this one, Neil. Seriously, we would be a lot better off if Harris was in charge right now. You know that's the damn truth. You're going to tell me otherwise, you're crazy. You're telling me otherwise, you're crazy. Project 2025 is going to destroy the United States, and it's absolutely incomprehensible how a democracy like the United States can go so down the tubes into fascism so quickly in less than a year. Don't give me this crap. You're basically saying the lesser evil instead of what we'll get. Listen, no, there's only one pure evil right now, and it's in the White House right now. Kamala Harris was villainized and all this stuff. I'm really disappointed in you, Neil, that you would see Kamala in the same kind of way this way. No, Kamala Harris was for the people, and she was going to fix a lot of things. And Trump has destroyed and broken a lot of things. So don't give me this crap, man. You want a second strike, you got it. All right. I told y'all I don't want to talk politics in a lot of ways. In some ways, I'll talk about MAGA destroying the United States because that's what's happening. But you're going to try and woodcushion and tell me that, oh, we would have been just as bad off with Harris? You're crazy. You're absolutely crazy, Neil. And seriously, I lost respect for you on those two comments right there. Don't equalize and poo-poo this shit. And seriously, if this is your opinion, don't bring it in here because I'm going to say get that garbage out of here like Jack Armstrong, and I'm going to swat it just like Ulrich Shamshay would, okay? Because that's garbage, man. You're bringing garbage in here with this bullshit right here. Now, even if you think this is true, don't put it in here because I'm going to tell you it's garbage. All right. That's what I'm going to say. All right. Raptors Reddit reactions. Wallstat wrote an article apparently in the Toronto Sun about the Drake shots on DeMar. And I didn't realize this is the lyric. Drake, you're such a piece of shit. Honestly. Fuck you, Drake. We threw him away. Pop sent us a real one from Diego. And next thing you know, we was doing parades. Yeah, whatever, Drake. You're so stupid, man. A real one from Diego? No, DeMar's the real one. Kawhi Leonard, you think he's a real one? Look at this fucking bullshit he's embroiled in right now. Seriously, look at this shit that he's embroiled in right now. Come on, you're gonna tell me that Kawhi's a real one? No, he's not. He's a problematic one, is what he is right now. That's right. That's right. Yeah, like, all right, here's one for you right here. All right, I'm gonna tell you this right now. This is something I'm reading on Blue Skies right now. This is saying Trump's ongoing campaign against historical truth appears to have expanded. His administration has directed the removal of multiple signs and exhibits from national parks that reference the history of slavery. See, he's trying to whitewash history. And you think Harris would do this shit? He's trying to erase the history of American slavery and what it did to people. Come on, Neil. You can't be telling me this is like the same. You can't be telling me this. This is motherfuckers going into museums and changing the plaques and saying, if this is talking about history and slavery or history against Native Americans, we don't want this here anymore, is what he's doing. So don't give me this crap, man. Seriously, don't give me this crap. There's no equalization to the two candidates from last year's U.S. election. Seriously, man, there's no equalization. All right, happy birthday to Alfonso McKinney. Alfonso McKinney was a Raptor very briefly in 2017, 2018. He ended up playing, I think, 14 games for the Raptors. And yeah, he averaged 1.5 points per game. Most recently, his involvement with the NBA was in the G League for the Mexico City Capitans. He was playing for the G League team in Mexico. But yeah, Alfonso McKinney, I don't think he's actually playing basketball at this point. The last time he was playing in Asia. He was playing in Asia, in Busan. And well, his contract was terminated in 2024, and I don't know if he's played in over a year anywhere. So happy birthday to Alfonso McKinney, former Raptor, who's turned 33 today. 33 years old for Alfonso. That's right. Let's see what else we got in our tabs. We're going to do the classic card very soon. Very, very soon. Trevor's saying, in the neighborhood I live, me and all my neighbors, we live like we are one big family, and we give to each other and we look out for each other. I love it because it's a mixed neighborhood. That's fantastic. And that's the American dream. That's the way it should be down there. And more power to you, strengthening your community and bonds. Trevor J. It may be very useful as time goes on. Trust me. Yeah, Kaloy saying Kawhi Leonard is the deranged one. Ha ha ha. Yeah, I don't know if Kawhi's the deranged one or just the patsy, but either way, it's like the real one is DeMar. Once again, Drake, you were totally off on this, man. And I get it. You're personally upset about DeMar and things with you, but that's your personal beef. I ain't got nothing to do with this shit. You and Kendrick Lamar and maybe you being a pedophile, I ain't got nothing to do with this shit. I don't have to turn on DeMar just because you decided to turn on DeMar. And in some ways, I'm pissed off that you're trying to get Raptors fans to turn against the GOAT, DeMar DeRozan, just because your feelings are hurt by something he said. It's so egotistical and so full of shit. Little Drake fuckboys, you go ahead and go with Drake and start dissing DeMar for it. Yeah, that's fine. You're the more important thing to you is Drake's music and fuckboy lifestyle. Okay, you go ahead and do that. More important thing to me is Raptors history and Raptors greatness, and DeMar DeRozan is respected for that. So, yeah, whatever your priorities are. If it's I want to be like Drake, I have to follow Drake, he's my leader, you go ahead. If you got to do that, you're sad, by the way. But if you want to be like, I'm a separate person from Drake. I don't have to make my opinion about DeMar DeRozan just because Drake has said this. Well, you think for yourself, and that's good. That's good right there. I think that's more important. All right, let's do the classic card. Let me get that card out. And yeah, we still got just under 20 minutes. So, we're going to get in time. I feel like in some ways I'm getting more underneath the time I'm supposed to do for my chat. Who is that? Oh, man, that's a really hard card. I don't know if I want to do it. You know what? We'll do it. We'll do it. We're going to do it. We'll just have to see. It's not even an NBA card. This is crazy, man. This is a weird card, man. I might have to give you guys clues on the name. So we'll see. This may be a very, this could be like a 200 or 300 point card. All right. Full name answer, guys. It looks like his high school card. It's so crazy. And I don't even know if you guys can really see him clearly. It doesn't even look like his college card. It looks like his high school card. You guys give me a couple guesses, and then I'll give you guesses on his name like I do. I'll give you clues on his name. So give me a couple guesses. What do you think that player's who that is? Like, it's really hard because it's a college card. It's college or a high school card. Blake Griffin. It's not a horrible guess, but it's not Blake Griffin. It's not Blake Griffin. This may be really hard to get. Is that Victor? What do you mean, Trevor? You need to write it in. Write in the full name. Write in the full name. I don't know. Victor Newman? You know that this is half-assing if you just put in one name. I don't know who Victor is. Victor Newman? Oh, Nicholas, I need you to go down to Jerome and tell Neil Winters that I need the acquisition report. Okay, Dad, I'll go down there. Okay, Nicholas, go do that. Yes, yes. Victor Wembanyama, Jakob Pertl? No. All right, guys. Their last name is a very famous, important Canadian burger joint here in Canada. That's right. His last name is a very famous, important burger joint in Canada. It's a chain. If you know that last name, maybe you can get it. And then his first name is a former Raptor All-Stars first name. There you go. Former Raptor All-Stars first name. And his last name is a Canadian burger joint. Yeah. Patrick Ewing is not right. You guys are thinking too big on the names. Like, these are very well-known players you're naming. This is not a extremely well-known player. This is not a star. Let's just put it that way. Take my clue and see if you can get it. His first name is the same first name as a former Raptor All-Star. His last name is the same name as a very important burger chain in Canada. It's Canadian. Isaac's close. He's got Vince Harvey. It's not Vince Harvey. It's not Vince. Vince Harvey has never been an NBA player I've ever heard of. So you got to figure it out. Figure out the NBA All-Stars for the Raptors and their first names and what fits with that last name, because you got the right last name. Harvey is the last name of this player. Donnell Harvey? Who is Donnell? Who is Donnell? There's nobody named Donnell in the history of the Raptors. I've never heard of anybody named Donnell. Chris Harvey. It's not Chris Harvey. No. You mean Danielle? Like Danielle Marshall? No, it's not Danielle. Danielle Marshall? No. You guys know your Raptor All-Stars? Who all's made the All-Star team for the Raptors? Antonio Harvey is right. That's it. It's Antonio Davis. Antonio Harvey is the right answer. So Fiercely does get it. She circles back and gets it. Antonio Harvey. I'm going to give you 200 points for that one. That was a hard card. I knew we could get there with the clues, but man, that was a hard card. That was not easy. Let's see. Antonio Harvey, and it's going to be Fiercely, and we're going to give her 200 points for this one. You know what? Screw it. I'm going to give you 300 because honestly, that was a hard card. That wasn't even an NBA card. That was like a high school card, something like that. Yeah. So, all right. I guess we'll wrap it up, guys. Thanks for watching the Raptor Freak stream today. We're really applauding and in awe of Ochai Agbaji and his jump and his field goal percentage from the year before to last year, and leading the NBA in that change. And, that's fantastic. I wish the NBA would look at that kind of stuff and kind of decide their most improved player from stuff like that. Seriously, look at the actual stats and the improvement. And that's how you should give it most improved players. Like, who's improving their stats the most from the year before? That's right. W. Fiercey, have a great day, everyone. I appreciate that, guys. Is Colin Murray Boyles our secret weapon? Maybe, and to a degree, yeah. I think he's a secret weapon on defense. And maybe as time goes on, he'll be more of a secret weapon on offense. But right away, he's going to be a really good secret weapon on defense. I can see that. Yeah, W to Ochai. Yeah, we're proud of you, Ochai Agbaji. Keep up the improvements and getting to new levels, and just keep going, man. You know what? I wish the best for you, no matter what, whether it's on the Raptors or beyond that. You're a great young man. I'm very happy for you and your bride and your new young family that you're building. So Agbaji, keep going in life, keep going on that court for the Raptors, and we expect big things from you once again this year. Very steady, good work last year. Let's see you replicate it once again this year. That's right. That's what we're saying right there. W Stream, W Community. I appreciate that, Cass. And thank you, Isaac from Fiercey. And Trevor saying, I wish more of our players been talking about more so we can learn more about them. I mean, we know enough about them. We understand about them. Other people don't have to pay attention like we do, and they don't have to put them on blast. In some ways, we work better in silence and not with so much glitz and glamour. Because in some ways we come up like that submarine that emerges from the depths of the sea below. And all of a sudden we're right there. And boom, whoa, there's the Raptors. They're at the top of the standings all of a sudden. How the hell did that happen? I didn't see this happening. Why didn't we see this happening? Oh, some people saw it happening, but y'all didn't. The experts. Well, we'll see how that goes this year. Hopefully, that is exactly what happens. The Raptors are a top 4 Eastern Conference team, and they're going to shock everybody. And once again, everybody say, "Oh, the Raptors are so surprising. How did they do this?" They said this all the time about us in the 2010s when DeMar and Kyle were doing such good job for us at that time. That's right. Trevor's saying all the people who do not want to talk about us, we'll force them to. Yeah, we'll force them to when we kick ass this season. That's exactly right, Trevor. That is exactly right. We're right there. All right, guys. I appreciate everybody for watching today. I'll be back tomorrow with the Thursday Think Tank, the show where you can call me on the phone and get your voice heard on the air. So I hope you'll join me for that. And come on in and we'll talk something. I don't know. Let's find out what a controversial or some sort of subject that we can talk about that'd be very interesting. I'll figure it out. It'll come to me and we'll make the stream for tomorrow. And I'll see you at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow morning for another couple hours of the Raptor Freak stream. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, join the channel if you feel like it. Joining the channel gives you access to all kinds of different fun stuff. Trust me. You get emoticons, you get the access to our Facebook group and access to our Discord server also. All right, have a great Wednesday, everybody. Get out there and touch grass and put good into this world. What energy we're emanating and putting out in this world, it helps things. Butterfly effect. So put a good deed out there and more good deeds will stack up and we can fight this bullshit, the bad deeds that are being put out there by other people. There's got to be a balance and we've got to beat the bad by putting out the good. And that's what it is. Be a vessel of love and goodness and be strong, especially in the face of bullshit. Seriously. All right, y'all. I love you guys. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Let's go Raptors. Let's go Toronto Tempo. That's right, baby. Let's go Canada.